Welcome to the Disney View podcast. Dave is a dreamer and an engineer. He's a one-time cast member, and he's been to Disney World literally hundreds of times. Listen in as he talks about one of his favorite things, the Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, and occasionally beyond the Orlando theme park. And now, here's your host.
Please stand clear of the podcaster. Por favor, manténganse alejados del David.
Hey everyone, it's Dave. Welcome to another edition of Dave's Disney View podcast. On today's podcast, I thought I would take a look at the top-selling merchandise at Walt Disney World and talk a little bit about why it's so popular, and best of all, I'm going to give you some places that you can get it. Plus, I'll give you a few tips on what to look for in the merchandise and maybe how to save a few bucks as you go and purchase them. Now remember that Disney is a large company. They're not unlike any other department store in that way. They have buyers in each category. They source suppliers. They use leverage and volume to reduce their prices. And they attend trade shows and such to stay on top of the market. But on the other hand, they're still a large company and they're in it to turn a profit. And really, to ensure that it's a large profit. In 2012, Disney made around $30 billion in licensed merchandise, just to give you some perspective. Now, that would include everything, and all segments of everything they do. It's not just around the Walt Disney World theme park, but it does provide a little context around how big the industry is. But Disney World certainly accounts for a large portion of that number, and it gives you a sense of just how much merchandise is actually moved. Now, I can remember back when I was a cast member in the Emporium, just looking with bewilderment at the day's receipts in that single store. And then when I worked for a while on the budgets, all I can say is, wow. That $30 billion number doesn't surprise me at all. Now, one thing that you should always keep in mind is that there's a standard markup on everything Disney sells. I can't tell you exactly what it is these days, but I can tell you that it's in the range of around, 2 times the cost, somewhere in that ballpark. So the sticker you see represents that. So they paid something for it, and they're going to essentially put a price that's double on it when they put it out there. Now, some items don't move as well as others, and sometimes you'll find an item that's marked down. And Disney indicates this by putting a red sticker over the original price tag. So if you see a red sticker, it's been discounted. And if you see several red stickers stacked on top of each other, well, that means that the item has been marked down more than once. Sometimes these items are in the original stores that sold them, and more often they get moved to the downtown Disney area. You can always ask a cast member if they've seen any markdown merchandise, and you might be surprised. And you never know, you might find something that's worthwhile. Now, before I get to the top 10 souvenirs, let me give you a couple of tips. Now, after merchandise reaches a certain level of inventory, and that's usually because it's discontinued, and there's not much more of it coming in. Now, why might it be discontinued? Well, often it's because the company had a contract for a period of time, and Disney might have found a new supplier, and sometimes it's been marked down because there just isn't a demand for that product. Anyway, at that point, Disney marks it down, and then they later distributed the products to the outlet stores. Now, there are a few around Florida, and there are 3 right around the Walt Disney World Resort. I'll put a link to the locations in my show notes page so you can go and find them if you have some time and want to go wander around a little bit. Now, at these locations, these Disney outlet stores basically, you'll find the same merchandise that's in the theme parks at a lower price point. Now, the thing about these outlet stores is there are Disney cast members working in the stores, so you get that little bit of a Disney touch, and you can ask all the questions you like of the cast members that work there. They have a lot of merchandise that used to be in the parks, and it's deeply discounted from what the price was when it was in the retail store at the parks, but the selection is always kind of hit or miss. You never know exactly what they're going to have. And you kind of have to take it or leave it a little bit. You might have to go back a couple of times to find something you really love, but if you're just looking for a t-shirt or a hat, you'll probably find one, or if you're just looking for some souvenir, you'll probably find it there. And in reality, it will save you money. Now, beyond that, if you visit an area Kmart, Target, or Walmart, or even a Publix, Winn-Dixie, Walgreens, or CVS, you will probably also find merchandise similar to theme park merchandise, but not always the same thing. But the prices are always lower than in the parks. And in addition, there are also a few retail outlets along the roads surrounding Disney property that are souvenir shops. Now, these shops do often carry Disney logo merchandise, and usually it's licensed, but at a much lower quality. Sometimes, though, it's not licensed, and it may be a little off in some way. The colors may be off, something may be different about it. But the thing you can keep in mind is, if you're willing to kind of sacrifice just a little bit, you can definitely save some money on some of the souvenirs that you're going to purchase. All right, with that bit of business in order, let's go ahead and talk about the top 10 list.
Top 10.
Disney souvenirs. Number 10. Food items.
Now, I'm not talking about turkey legs here. I'm talking about things that are packaged with the Disney logo on it in some way. And either they're taken in their entirety home, or the food is consumed and the container is taken home. That turns out to be a really fun souvenir for a lot of people, whether it's a cup, or maybe the popcorn bucket, or even some food item like biscuits or something that you can take home and enjoy later. These are the kinds of candy items. Some are sold in bulk by weight, or others are boxed. You can buy rice treats shaped like Mickey, cookies that are shaped like a princess, and plenty of other sweet things that you might not buy otherwise. But the list doesn't stop there. There's always things like pasta and other items, and a lot of them are in the shape of Disney characters. And then one other item you see quite frequently is coffee. Now, it's a little bit unexpected, but you can buy flavored coffee in whole beans or already ground roasts. If you're not sure which type you want, you could try and buy a variety pack, because they often sell those as well. And that way you can start your day off with a little bit of Walt Disney World after you've returned home. And I know a lot of people who do that and really think it's kind of cool, because they get a little bit of magic for a while after they get home.
Number 9. Christmas items.
Now, it doesn't matter what time of year you visit the Walt Disney World Resort. You can always buy Christmas items at Disney World. Pretty much every shop puts out some sort of Christmas items beginning in November, and they'll hang around until sometime in early January. But the Days of Christmas shop in downtown Disney's Marketplace is open year-round and always has some interesting items. You'll find all manner of decorations and collectible Christmas merchandise, and there's even a room dedicated to Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. And then, of course, in the Magic Kingdom, there's also Ye Olde Christmas Shop, which is another location to get your Disney ornaments and assorted Christmas-related items.
Number 8. Personalized items.
At the top of the list has to be Mickey Mouse ears. Everyone recognizes them, and your name is embroidered on the back. They're ubiquitous. But there are other types of hats and clothes that can be embroidered. There's a Minnie Mouse version, a headband which comes with a bow. You can buy Mickey ears that look like R2-D2 or a melting ice cream treat. A couple on their honeymoon might want to buy the bride and groom version. Seasonal Mickey ears, such as the pumpkin at Halloween, are also popular. There are so many designs that are being added all the time, and many people like the Mickey ears so much that they collect a new pair with each trip. And it absolutely amazes me how many mouse ears get sold all the time. And beyond just the clothing and mouse ears, there's also other things that you can have personalized, such as a name tag. You can go out and purchase a blank name tag, and you can have it customized with your name. Now, here's a fun fact for you. Sometimes you can buy a blank name tag at one of the outlet stores, and it may come with a personalization even though you purchased it at a discount. And even if it doesn't come with free personalization, you can do that pretty cheaply at one of the places that does the personalization. So you can definitely add that at a low cost.
Number 7. Pins.
Now, pin trading is an extremely popular Disney activity. The idea is simple. You purchase a few pins and a lanyard and wear them around. Now, of course, to get started, all you need is a starter kit. It's a lanyard with 4 to 5 pins on it. And then you can trade pins with cast members and other guests. While most of these pins are common, some of them are kind of rare. Pins usually do sell out quickly if there's a special pin that comes out. There are places in all 4 Disney theme parks and also at Downtown Disney that are dedicated to pin trading. Now, the outlet stores often have pins that are much less expensive. They're marked down pretty significantly in a lot of cases. Now, the other thing is, you can buy them online as well, through something like an eBay. Now, you just need to be careful when you purchase them, because you're purchasing them from a non-Disney specific site. So you never know exactly what you're going to get, so you just want to make sure the seller is reputable. And by the way, a shameless plug here. I've created an app for iPhone, iPad, and iPods that lets you manage your pins in one location. You take a picture of them, describe them, sort them, search them, and even create a wish list. My show notes page has a link to the app if you're interested. Hey, it's under $1, so why not check it out?
Number 6. Jewelry.
Now, everyone knows about Mickey Mouse watches and simple Mickey earrings, but there is a huge selection of items that are sold at Walt Disney World. There are items for kids and adults. If you're looking for something unique, you'll probably find it. Hey, and if you want to find something to make your little girl feel truly special and magical and kind of like a princess, you'll find that there are a number of things that you can get for her, too. Earrings, necklaces, bracelets, rings, anklets, and of course watches dominate this category. Jewelry is just amazing how many things that they produce. Now, jewelry can be character-themed, park-themed, or just plain, or maybe elegant and beautiful, or maybe it has a subtle hidden Mickey in it or something. So there's a lot of different options to choose from. There are entry-level pieces and very expensive pieces and pretty much everything in between. Now, even better, maybe you don't like any of these specific merchandise that's there and you want something that's a little more special and meaningful to you. You can buy a charm bracelet and then pick out the charms that are really meaningful to you and make your own sort of bracelet or necklace to make it work for you. You can add charms that really express your life and put it together in however you'd like. And before we leave this category, I got to mention watches. Now, watches, they have them all, from the classic Mickey Mouse with the hands that move around to pretty much anything else you can imagine. They've got them. All of the major characters have a watch, and of course most of the attractions do, the parks do, and anything pretty much you can think of, you'll probably find in a watch somewhere.
Number 5. Kitchen items.
Now, kitchen items is a broad category. It includes plates, silverware, cutlery, cooking devices, specialized items for the kitchen, and so on. Among the things that they have are items relating back to movies, theme parks, and of course your standard Mickey Mouse awesomeness. There are constantly new items being introduced, and if you see something you like, you probably shouldn't hesitate. It may not be there the next time you come back. Now, personally, 2 of my favorite items are a Mickey Mouse waffle iron that I got from Target some years ago, believe it or not, and my Mickey-shaped nylon ring that allows me to make Mickey head pancakes. But I know people who have a lot of other stuff, and even the soap dispensers in their house may be Mickey Mouse-oriented. But the top seller in this category is, drumroll please, drinkware. Yep. Cups and mugs are the tops in this category. Some would argue that the morning coffee tastes just a little bit better if you drink it out of a Walt Disney World mug. And they may or may not be right, but it certainly makes a statement and helps you remember the magic just a little bit longer. Trust me when I say there are hundreds of styles that include everything from a favorite character to an attraction to a show to a park to a resort, or really just a memory like Star Wars weekends. Cups come in every shape, material, and size. Some people collect shot glasses, and there are a plethora of them available as well. So that's a category that really gets a lot of attention.
Number 4. Autograph items.
Now, autographs are one of those things that are really treasured, especially among kids. And Disney markets on that idea by selling basic autograph books that include space for a photo, plush toys that are made for autographs, an assortment of pens that can be used to get autographs. Now, these are all items that are on auto order, so they always refill at every location, so there's always a selection available when you walk in there. You may have noticed you walk into any store and there's always an autograph book and a series of pens that are right there by the register. That's because they always keep that merchandise in stock. It's important because it is the number 4 on the list. Now, as you might expect, these items are the largest selling items in any of the theme parks. Now, that doesn't mean that they have the highest grossing profit. It doesn't mean that there are other things that don't sell more, but you see more of these changing hands and moving along than anything else. It's an easy souvenir that you can take with you. You just get an autograph from a character. It's pretty small. It fits easily in a suitcase, and you can take it home with you. Now, one thing I'd like to just clue you in on, a lot of times you can find the pens at the outlet stores. It may be last year's model pen or something else. The bigger pens are better because the characters can hold them more easily, and they can more easily sign an autograph. So they're a great choice, but they're a little pricey when you purchase them at the retail outlets in the Walt Disney World Resort. So what you can do is go to the outlet store, find one there, and then go ahead and purchase it. The other cool thing about it is, if the ink ever runs out, it stops working, you have a problem with it, just take it back to any merchandise location, and they will exchange it for a new one. No questions asked. That's a cool tip that I learned when I was working there, and it really is kind of nice. I've had the same pens for my kids for years, and they're fantastic because I keep replacing them anytime they run out of ink, something happens to them, whatever. It's really kind of a cool thing.
Number 3. Hats.
Now, aside from the Mickey Mouse ears, hats are ubiquitous. You've seen them all on everybody's heads, and in more styles than you can count. I've seen ridiculous hats like Donald's butt in a hat, kind of like he's stuck in the tuba and the Mickey's Filler Magic, to baseball caps, to anything in between. Winter hats, hats shaped like characters, birthday hats, safari hats, and thousands of other hats. You name it, they probably have it. They serve a purpose, keeping the sun off your head, which is really important when you're in Florida. And you can take them home easily since they don't take up much space in your bag. And the great part is, again, you can take these and wear them when you get home and remember your trip. You go out and you start gardening and you're wearing your hat. You go out and you go to the park and you're wearing your hat. And everybody starts to talk to you about it. It's a conversation starter. It's awesome. Now, for those of you listening from home who don't come down here very often during the summer, remember, Florida is extremely hot. And as you head into the summer, a hat is a necessity rather than a luxury. So I would suggest that you pack a hat, or even better, purchase a hat at the Walt Disney World Resort when you come down.
Number 2. Toys and plush.
The category of toys includes pretty much anything for kids. or really the kid in all of us. Disney has probably either produced or considered producing just about everything in that toy space. Again, you have characters, attractions, and one of my favorites, the monorail. I have a couple of the working models that ride around in a spare room, and I think it's really fun, and I like to sit there and just play with them kind of like toy trains. It's a great time. Now, there are two toy stores that deserve a special mention. Both of them are located in downtown Disney's Marketplace. First is the Lego Imagination Store. Now, outside the store, there are some tremendously wonderful and whimsical Lego creations that are out there. Several of them are themed to movies that Disney has created, that the Lego people put together and made something to represent the movie. There's one section where it's like a group of tourists who have come, and they're getting their picture taken with goofy hats on and everything else. There's a sea serpent in the lake, and there are any number of other things that are around, and it's really cool, and there's Buzz and Woody and some other neat stuff there. So there's about 3,000 feet of toy play areas inside where the kids can create with more Legos than they ever dreamed of existed. And then, of course, there are Lego-themed merchandise and actual kits that they're selling. And then second, the other store that needs to be mentioned is Once Upon a Toy. It is the single largest toy store at Walt Disney World. There are playstations where the kids can get creative. There are games and rooms worth of toys. If you saw a toy in a park and later regretted you didn't buy it, this is the place to look for it. You'll probably find it here. And then turning my attention to the other thing in this category is plush. Now, they're not stuffed animals at Disney, they're plush toys. Because calling characters animals doesn't really promote the right image, and then calling them stuffed animals really doesn't fit. So instead, they're called plush toys. They're lovable, they're furry, and they're representations of your favorite characters. And they're some of the best-selling items anywhere in the parks. You can usually find a major character or one that's a hot property, even at the outlet stores. They usually turn them over so quickly, and they change the merchandise in the stock every so often, so you can usually find something you'd like at any of the retail locations or the outlet stores. Now, they come in a range of sizes and often styles and clothing. One of my favorites has always been the 4-foot-tall Mickey dressed in classic attire. I love that one. And as a cast member, it was so much fun to play with them, pose them, and generally stack them on top of each other like they were sitting on each other's shoulders. It was so much fun to just play with them because they're so tall. Great times. Now, curious about which characters are the best-selling? Of course, Mickey and Minnie are up at the top of the list. But beyond that are characters from the Winnie the Pooh franchise, with Eeyore being the top seller. I know that seems so strange. I always thought that was kind of odd, but when I saw the numbers, I was like, whoa, that's cool. It's Eeyore. And that brings us to the number one souvenir in all of Walt Disney World. It's also the number one in sales. Drum roll, please.
And the number one Disney souvenir, ready-to-wear clothing.
Now, not surprising in any way, T-shirts and outerwear are the tops. That's what everybody wants. Most people on a Walt Disney World vacation see them as an essential thing to buy. Either a T-shirt or a lightweight jacket, a pullover sweater, or even a heavier jacket. Owning a T-shirt with Walt Disney World or a Mickey Mouse printed across the front of it is the ultimate way to show off where you went for your trip. And the best part is, there are thousands of designs available. I mean, literally everything, from theme park merchandise to character merchandise to anything you might be interested in. You can buy classic character shirts, ride-related shirts, and even a shirt with a turkey leg on it if you want to. Of course, you can buy jackets, pants, shorts, bathing suits, sandals, and even socks. And you can wear it or pack it in with the rest of your clothes when you head home. So where's the downside? And of course, there was always the one shirt that I loved that I never got and I wish I had. It said, "Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas." Now, the cool thing is, some people are true connoisseurs and real collectors of it. Now, back when I was working in the Emporium, a man walks in one day, and he's explaining to me how this one T-shirt that shows the theme parks around the world has a mistake on it. So at the time, there was Walt Disney World, there was Disneyland, there was Tokyo Disneyland, and there was Euro Disneyland. And so there was a map on the shirt, and in each one of the locations, there was a picture of the castle that's at that location depicted on the shirt. And he was pointing out to me that the one that was shown for Euro Disneyland actually had the wrong castle on it. It had Cinderella's castle on it instead of Sleeping Beauty's. And he's like, so this shirt is actually wrong, and he wanted to make sure that the buyers knew that, so I got word back to them. And then, of course, he bought one because it was a unique item, and it was probably a defect, and he probably was right that it was going to get pulled shortly after that. I'm not sure I can't remember if it actually got pulled or we just sold out of them and we just didn't reorder them, but they weren't there for much longer. So there you go. That's my list of the top 10 souvenirs that guests enjoy at the Walt Disney World Resort. Did I miss any? Did I forget to include something that you might be interested in? Do you have another item that you like to collect when you go to the parks? Just let me know at davesdisneyview@gmail.com. Well, that's it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed hearing about the top 10 souvenirs at Walt Disney World. And remember, if we can dream it, we really can do it. Bye now.
Thank you for tuning in to the Disney View podcast. Show notes can be found on DisneyWorldPodcast.net. Looking to do some travel planning? Want to find an authorized Disney vacation planner? You should visit Destinations in Florida. Original music you hear in this podcast is courtesy of Sound On Music. You can find his music at reverbnation.com/sounda. Our thanks also go to Doug for his continued contributions to the show. You can find links to other great Disney podcasts, as well as the latest Twitter feed and the Disney Buzz on DisneyPodcast.net. And don't forget to check out Dave's iPhone apps. There's a Hidden Mickeys app for finding and sharing hidden Mickeys at all of the Disney parks around the world. There's also an app designed especially for pin traders. You can keep track of all your pins and your wish lists. Please be generous with your time or a donation to Autism Speaks. We do hope that you've enjoyed your visit and that you drive home safely. Show number 140.